North and South Carolina are both under a state of emergency. But what does this mean exactly? Good question. While it may sound ominous, an emergency declaration in the Carolinas is all about getting help to those who need it during and after a disaster. Now, when a governor issues a state of emergency, the main concern is getting funding, right? Storms are expensive. Most hurricanes do an average of $22.8 billion in damage per event. By issuing an emergency declaration, it starts the process of getting state or federal aid for a disaster response. It also means price gouging laws are put in place. This means businesses cannot unreasonably raise the price of goods or services to profit from a state of emergency. This helps people get fuel and critical supplies to those who need them the most. The Better Business Bureau says the best way to avoid getting taken advantage of is to be prepared ahead of an emergency.
BBB does see reports of price gouging ramp up. Prepare now so that way you don't need to deal with businesses that might not be ethically pricing their products.
A state of emergency does not mean schools or government offices are automatically closed. That's still up to local districts. It also doesn't mean you can't leave your house or drive. However, some cities may issue curfews. Keep that in mind. Well, coming up next on